There we go.
You didn't have your gloves on. Your fingers cold?
He washed his hands and can't do a thing with them.
Sorry again, folks.
Okay, welcome to the Wednesday, February 21st. No, I'm sorry, is it?
Yeah.
It is the 21st.
Yes.
I've got 2023 in front of me. 2024
Thank you.
Council on Aging Board meeting.
Sorry about that.
We're here at the Harwich Community Center in the Harwich Channel studio. We do have a quorum, and I hereby call the meeting to order. Good to see everybody. Thank you all for being here today. Yeah. And then we're going to change the minutes when we do.
Yep.
First thing I will do is call for a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
With the exception of, I'm gonna change the date
date,
to actually
right.
the correct year, because my brain doesn't wanna believe we're in 2024 yet, apparently.
John has made a motion, Angie has seconded to approve the minutes with the corrections of changing the date from 2023 to 2024. Any other changes, alterations, deletions of the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It is a vote. Again, we're here at the Harwich Channel studio here at the Harwich Community Center. We have no one in the audience today outside of our director, and there is no one here for public comment. We will move forward. We do have a member who has not been feeling well. We're checking in on. We'll let folks know how she's doing. One of our members has been ill for the last few weeks, so we will make sure we're checking in. A couple things. We are heading into budget season, and the department head, Julie, has submitted her budget, and many may not know that the Finance Committee and the Select Board meet in early March to review all budgets that will be submitted to the annual town meeting for vote. Julie has represented there are no expansion of services is the phrase that they're using this year for budget increases outside of just straight cost of living increases and inflation increases for things like fuel. But we will let the entire board know if the Council on Aging will be appearing before the Select Board and the Finance Committee. We will have a time frame so that if you wish to attend and if the department head needs to be there, I would encourage our members to try to attend to be there to advocate for the work of the department.
Better remind me.
I will send you a personal, no, I'll call you. Forget the email. All righty. Julie, we'll move right into your report, please.
Sure. I don't have a lot today. I will have, I'll just do a quick reminder that we do have the Spring Fashion Show coming up in March. So the date for that again is March 21st, which is a Thursday. So March 21st at 2 p.m. And we are still looking for some models for that. We have a good lineup now, but we're looking for a few more. So the sell for that is that you get to buy a new outfit of your choice. It can be pretty much whatever you want. We're pretty flexible with that. We'll give you some guidance when we talk to you. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're not going to force you to wear anything you don't want to wear. You get to choose it. We want you to be comfortable, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
I would finance board member Smith's appearance as a model. I'd be happy to front the cost of his outfit for that event. Tall, good looking, successful, great model, I think.
Got any vintage clothes?
Yes.
Nothing wrong with vintage clothes.
Vintage is completely acceptable.
Those herringbone tweed sport coats, they're tough to find these days. With the patches on them.
And of course, you get to keep the outfit. So if you're interested, please call our office, 508-430-7550. And we hope to hear from you. If you do use a cane or walker or rollator or a wheelchair, anything that you need to get around, we have plenty of people who use those already who are going to be in the show, so please don't let that stop you. We're going to make this completely accessible. And
that is sponsored by?
Oh, it is sponsored by the Mass Cultural Council. They gave us a very generous grant for that. The next thing on my agenda is I wanted to touch base on the volunteer recognition event. We've got our program specialist, Jen Anderson, working on that this year. Obviously, we're all pitching in though. We did start to look at the guest list, so we pulled out, the list of the volunteers who've been active with us for the last year. Right now, it's standing at just about 75, which is where I thought it would be, but we have not done the step where we have the rest of the staff and other people look over it. So this could grow a little, it could even shrink a little, but more likely it's gonna grow just a tiny bit. I think if we rough estimate, we'll probably land somewhere around 80, because it usually only grows by a few. That's most likely approximately where we land. And then we put together the town guest list, and that is, it was somewhere between 20 and 25. So again, we're looking at approximately 100 people being invited, which is where we were last year, or close to it.
And that is, I just want to explain the town guest list as well. We bring in some administration from town and folks from public safety who we interact with. Again, it's important because there's still volunteering going on, even though some are employees, they are volunteering and overseeing. And I think it's great for those involved in administration to see the breadth of the volunteers that we're using here at the Council on Aging, which covers substantial amount of what otherwise would be employees covering the department. So I think the town guest list is very, very important as well. Great.
Since we don't have a venue booked yet, we don't have a date, but we've kind of narrowed it down to a few date options that we will choose from depending on what works for the venue. So we're looking at we were aiming for mid-April, but the middle week of April is a school vacation week, and we're not sure if that's going to impact either the venue choice or maybe even some of the volunteers' ability to come, because we do have some grandparents who help out with childcare. So the dates we're looking at right now are a Wednesday or Thursday, and that would be either April 17th or 18th. That's the school vacation week. The week after that is the 25th or the 26th. The issue with going to the week before school vacation week, the Thursday, the 8th, is a possibility, but I'm out of town the Monday and Tuesday, so Wednesday's really not going to work, and even Thursday is kind of iffy.
25th is a great day.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
If we can focus there. Does anyone have any, I don't know if you've got your calendars with you, but how that looks. I'm returning the 24th.
Oh.
Obviously, I would like to be there.
Okay.
If we could.
Okay.
If not. Okay, great. Anything else on that? Anything else on the?
Not right now for the
Okay.
volunteer
Okay.
recognition event. And then for volunteer needs, we are still looking for a couple tech volunteers. We have a really good lineup now, but I'd certainly like to add a few more. We talked about that last month. So basically, if you're a tech savvy person and would like to help other seniors who are maybe a little less tech savvy, you can volunteer anywhere from, I'd say, 2 hours a month to 4 hours a month. So an hour like every other week to every week. We would match you with someone who has an issue that you feel adept to work on. So we ask you, do you work with iPhones or Androids, laptops, Macs, etc. And then we ask what the person has an issue with. This is not intended to be a complicated issue, something that you could do in like half an hour to an hour. If someone does end up having like a really big problem that you don't want to work on, or that is not within your capabilities, we ask that we're going to have sort of a list of licensed providers around that you can refer them to. So, competent businesses that we're able to refer out to, so that they have something, a next step to go to. All right, we do need 2 friendly visitors, and those are folks who go into the homes of seniors who are isolated or homebound and need a little social connection. And it's basically exactly what it sounds like. You spend about an hour a week there, talking, playing games. You can write letters on their behalf because sometimes they have poor vision or are not able to hold the pen well enough to write anymore, with Parkinson's or other conditions that make it difficult to write. So those are some of the things that a friendly visitor might do.
Is anyone here a friendly visitor? Last month I was here, I was at the apartment doing something, and there were a couple of leftover lunches, and I asked what's going on, and it was one of the days, it was a snow day or whatever, but person couldn't get him in. And it's, well, I know that name. I said, let me call him, I'll be happy to drop it off. And I did, and spent, the resident of the community had been dealing with some health issues and was not able to get out. And spent some time. We had a wonderful visit, and it was just, it brightened her day, but it brightened my day probably more, you know, being with her. And we had a great visit. I knew her husband who was passed on, and just a great visit. I would love to schedule with the Harwich channel an opportunity to interview a couple of our volunteers. Maybe someone's doing tech work, a friendly visitor I'd love to have to interview, just to talk about the experience that people have meeting with someone in our community. And what I have found out over the years, many times the volunteer gets far more out of it than the person they're volunteering to assist.
Yeah.
And it's great to have that, you know, third party experience. You know, we talk about it as a committee, and I know you all volunteer in different levels, and I know some of you have done medical visits, so many of the volunteer activities here. But I think it'd be great if the community could hear from some of the volunteers and what their experience is. So I'd love to book that out with the Harwich channel, if you could identify a couple of volunteers who'd be willing to be on camera to share their experience, because hopefully that will bring in. Angie?
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was
No,
waiting to
please,
finish.
please.
I was just thinking, you know, Four Cs now has had a big influx in the health fields. They're really growing like crazy, and they're teaming up with the tech and stuff. We might find some people that live in Harwich that are in these programs that might be part of their training to be volunteers, because that's their area of expertise. I mean,
So interestingly, the tech, Cape Cod Tech did reach out to me at the same time that I was looking for tech volunteers. They didn't know I was looking for tech volunteers, but it was just coincidental. They did reach out to us and asked if we would be interested in having some of their technology students do some tech support here at the COA. So we're also doing that. They're going to be helping with the tech program as well.
yeah.
And I'm hoping it will be the first of a few opportunities for their students to get involved.
I just saw. I was thinking of Four Cs. Four Cs as well, because so many of them are going to the nursing program. It's growing like crazy.
Yeah.
So
It's a great thing that we can bring up if we do an interview of a couple of volunteers. We can talk about that.
yeah.
And, you know, for anyone who is attending a 4Cs program, if they're looking to do as part of their curriculum any community service, that we could most certainly use. We've never turned down volunteers.
Right.
We've never turned down
Yeah.
volunteers. Thanks, Angie. That's a great point.
Yeah. We do a monthly. Well, Jen does a monthly update with Dinah Lane to discuss our programs.
Yep.
So I could see if she'd be interested in doing something like this as well.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. So,
Okay.
great.
I have a couple things for old business if anyone wants to jump in here. Or
Any
I can
questions
go into
or
it.
comments on the director's report? Okay, hearing none. And again, get the word out in the volunteers if you would. I brought one of the tech guys in. I spoke to someone. He doesn't do Apple stuff. He does Android and PC work. But he was so excited about coming up. And when he came back, he called me and he said, "It's unbelievable up there." He said, "It's just, the activity that's going on in that department is amazing." He was blown away, had no idea the amount of activities and services that the COA provides. He's from Eastham, he's not from Harwich. And he said, oh, I'm really jealous, actually. I wish he lives with a senior mom, and he said, I'd love to have some of these programs. So, well, come on down, come visit. So, all right, let's move on to old business. Do we have anything else to share?
Yeah, I do. So, I think it was in December, we discussed a couple things that I needed some time to follow up on. So we discussed the Dementia Friends training.
Yep.
And, there was a lot going on with staff, so it took a little while to find a date that was gonna work for everybody, because we also have this big fashion show that we're, spending a lot of time working on with, in our staff meetings and volunteers and things like that. Okay, but I do have a date for that finally. We're gonna wait and do the training after the show, after the fashion show is over, because we really are sort of focusing 110% on that right now. So the Dementia Friends training, which we are inviting the board to, is Friday, March 29th to 12:30 to 1:30. So I'm hoping that you guys will be able to join us. If that day doesn't work for you, we are always happy to schedule another one. It's just an hour long. Andrea loves doing them. I'm sure she'd be happy to come talk another time.
And that will be here?
It will be at the community center.
Yep.
I'm not sure, what room it will be in yet. We're booking one, obviously. So all of our staff will be there. And we're also inviting our volunteers. We're not making it a mandatory training for our volunteers. We're just inviting them.
12:30 to 1:30?
Yes.
Thank you.
So at the December meeting, we had discussed presenting this to the Board of Selectmen and inviting them to it. I obviously wanted to wait until I had a date set. So now that we do, I would like to go forward with that. And then the other thing we discussed at that meeting, which similarly we wanted to bring to the Board of Selectmen, I also have progress on, that was the needs assessment, which the Friends of the Council on Aging had agreed they would provide funding for. So the question with that was when we would be able to start that project. The university that performs the needs assessments, they tend to start those projects in September every year, because as an academic institution, they're obviously on an academic schedule. They have doctoral students who work on these projects, and it just suits their timeline to start them in September. But there is sometimes an opportunity to start at other times of the year. So we weren't sure if we were going to start sooner, because there was some hope that maybe we could get things started sooner to perhaps have results in time to line up with the local comprehensive plan. But it's not quite going to line up that way. So we are planning to start this September of 2024. So now that we have that settled, I feel like we're in a good place to bring that to the Board of Selectmen as well.
Great.
So we can do that at the same time, I presume.
And I would, if March is a very busy time for them.
Right.
In
and
terms of.
that's my question.
Right, it's very busy. I would go to the next scheduled meeting. If for any reason you can't make it, let me know.
Okay.
One of us, it'd be great to send an email to the town administrator, or ATA town administrator. Please inform the board. If he wants you to send it, or she wants you to send it to the board directly, that's fine. But just use your protocol, and then I would follow up at public comment at a select board meeting. And if you're tied up on a Monday, like next Monday, if you're tied up, I will
should be able to go.
be happy to do inform them at public comment. But I think that's the way, and it gets that out to people as well.
I can do that.
Great, and it'd be there at 6, because they come out of executive usually right at 6, and public comment is in the first 5 to 10 minutes in the meeting. I'll be there to.
Can we touch base after this?
Yeah, absolutely, we'll do that. Yep, okay, great. But I think I would shoot out the email first.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
anybody have any questions on that? And I think it's great that we invite, and again, the board's gonna change. There's an election coming up this year. There'll be a change in the board. So it's good to let the current board know and hopefully the newer member will take an interest. Good.
Okay.
Anything
So
else?
those were my updates for old
Great.
business.
Anything else for old business? Got the recognition going, things are moving well. Is there any new business to come before us today? Hearing none. John, anything?
Nope.
Ralph, thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me late.
And you know, we will send that reminder letter out. I think there's some folks away this week from the department, so. Linda?
I'll just have one thing that I read in AARP, and it was called Working Off Your Taxes. And I don't know if the town has such a program, but the article, we do.
You've got to come to the right place.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We have actually, through the Board of Assessors, a very robust work-off program.
Yes.
And it works in
okay.
conjunction with the Council on Aging. And there are people, if there are residents who are unable to do the volunteer work themselves, we have an angel program. And I know of two of the volunteers who work in the office who donate those hours. They're volunteers, and they do the work off for other people.
In fact,
That's nice.
all of our reception volunteers are so eager to donate their hours. I have to split the hours
Oh, how nice.
and have multiple volunteers donate their hours to those who need angel hours so that it can be fair. So that multiple
Very
people
good.
can donate.
But Linda, that's a great reminder, because we should be reminding people who may be watching this how important those programs are. There are a lot of folks. And actually, being involved with the Board of Assessors, I've met with the Board of Health. As you know, the town is soaring in different locations, and we're coming up with something new at town meeting this year. We're gonna have an article, hopefully, that will create a sewerage assistance program for those who need to connect to the new sewerage, who may not be able to afford it. There is a program through Barnstable County that people can get a zero-interest loan. But in some cases, people can get the loan, they qualify for the loan, but they can't afford to pay for the loan. So we're looking to add another program that will assist those in need, and it will not be strictly seniors. It'll be for anyone in town who cannot afford to pay for that loan. And it'll be funded, and it'll be utilized as the same criteria that we use for those who would use the Angel program, for senior tax credits, for those who might need assistance. So, but anytime you bring that up, we're happy to publicize it. So
Okay.
thank you so much for bringing it up.
No problem, I didn't know, so.
No, it's great. It's
Good.
great. It's a
Don't know
great
you asked.
reminder.
Yeah.
Thank you. Linda,
Very
anything
good.
else?
No, I just wanted to ask, if anybody else also gets the Barnstable County News. I get an email once a month. I don't know why, but I do. But I do get a lot of information.
Sure. It's great, and I encourage people to spread the word. And if you're in a conversation here, I'm having a tough time with this, great, have you looked into? Because there are so many programs that the town offers for assistance that it's difficult, especially generationally, people who've been here for many generations, who are living off strictly Social Security. While we have a lot of very prominent people and comfortable people in the community, there are those who are still struggling to make ends meet. And Ralph mentioned he's on the board of the Family Pantry. We have some great services available in the community, but we need to make it our public aware of what those programs are and how they can be helped.
Very good.
You can bring that up every month if you want, Linda.
Okay.
That'll be our commercial.
Good job.
Angie,
No, well, I did have one question. I mean, we volunteered to come to the board, and many of us volunteer for a few other things. Does the board hours also count toward, we could put toward the Angel Fund?
Sure.
Oh, okay, I'm just thinking all the times I've been here, and, okay. I'll
Yeah,
let you know I'm
definitely.
interested in donating.
Speaking of volunteering, are you interested in helping with the volunteer recognition event again
Oh, yeah,
this
I
year?
have fun with it, yeah, sure,
I'll chat with you after.
okay.
great, super.
Don't forget.
Don't forget.
Don't forget, yeah.
We'll send an email.
Text
Ralph.
me, don't forget to text me.
Sorry.
Okay, I know where you are.
And I looked and I forget what.
Lauren, do you have anything?
No,
Thank you for being here.
The only thing I
John?
want to
Yeah.
add to, about the tax relief is the form, and there's requirements on your income and things like that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's a criteria for both income and assets, but really, really, really important. John, thank you. It's a great point. Thank you for bringing it up. Your home is not considered an asset.
Yeah, okay.
So many people think, oh, well, I've got my house and it's all paid off, so it's an asset. It is not, under the calculations from the Department of Revenue. And if anyone has any questions whatsoever, they can call either here, the 430-7550 number, or they can call the Board of Assessors. The staff there are excellent and meet with a lot of folks in the community. John, thanks for that reminder. That's a great, great point. Does anybody have anything else to come before us today? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to
Motion.
adjourn. I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Angie. All in favor?
Aye.
I.
Aye.
Any opposed can clean up the table.